Description: infant stage, accumulative total of 10,000 leg kicks. Attribute gained, use it or lose it. As long as you continuously exercise the same body part, that part can evolve infinitely, but it can't break the limits of carbon-based life forms. Student phase, accumulative total of 100 million characters. Read: attribute gained, heavenly intellect. Photographic memory, learning ability reached the pinnacle of humanity. Adult stage, accumulative matching of carbon-based life forms. Limits 100 times. Attribute gained, multi-form. The body is no longer limited to the frailty of carbon-based life forms. Flesh and blood, capable of evolving beyond life forms. Having transmigrated, Linziken was born with an achievement-based cheat. In this life, he only wanted to evolve quietly, continuously breaking through the limits of life forms, and savoring the pleasure that comes with the leveling up process. Chapter 1. Advance with the times, fall back with complacency. Baby, you must be starving. Here, mommy will feed you some milk. A gentle woman's voice rang out. The next moment, Linziken felt something soft stuffed into his mouth, and then he instinctively began to suckle. At just over a month old, his mind was somewhat conscious, but not much. All he knew was to cry when hungry and to sleep when full. His thoughts were mostly muddled, lacking the capacity for complete reasoning. Energy +1. Energy +1. Energy +1. As he drank more and more breast milk, Linziken suddenly felt an itch in his head, as if his brain was growing. Immediately after, a character panel slowly emerged from the void. Name, Linziken. Age, 33 days. Biological level, ordinary, tier 1. Biometric attributes, none. Looking at the panel in the void, Linziken finally realized something. He had transmigrated. Transmigrated into a newborn whose brain had not yet fully developed. And he had acquired a golden finger. Having pondered this for a while, Linziken felt exhausted and soon fell into a deep sleep. Little guy ate his fill and went straight to sleep, truly envy-worthy. Mommy hasn't had much sleep taking care of you. The woman looked at Linziken sleeping in her arms and whispered with a smile full of love. In the blink of an eye, over 2 months had passed. After these days of development, Linziken's consciousness had become much clearer, possessing a fairly complete ability to think. With his brain functioning, the first thing he did was to study his golden finger. He learned it was an achievement-based golden finger, and he had triggered the first achievement task. Achievement: accumulate 10,000 kicks. Reward: obtain biometric attribute. Use it or lose it. Number of kicks accumulated, 1024/10,000. Linziken glanced at the progress bar and silently lay in the crib, kicking. Baby, kicking again. When did you wake up? You woke up without crying or fussing, such a good boy who gives mommy peace of mind. His mother, Zhang Wangzhen, entered the room and, seeing Linziken lying in the crib quietly kicking, couldn't help but show a relieved smile on her face. Seeing this, Linziken smiled back at her. Soon, his father, Lin Yanzheng, also came in, full of expectation. The little guy is so lively and active, obviously has a talent for physical ability. In the future, he's sure to become a lofty genetic integrator, or at the very least, a mechanically modified human. Genetic integrator? Mechanically modified human? What are those? Linziken's brows furrowed slightly, realizing that this world seemed different from his previous life. Before he knew it, another month had passed. In the past month, Linziken had averaged 300 kicks a day and finally accumulated 10,000 kicks. You have accumulated 10,000 kicks, achievement reached. You have obtained the biometric attribute, use it or lose it. Use it or lose it. As long as you continue to exercise a body part without stopping, that part can evolve and become stronger indefinitely, but cannot break the limits of carbon-based life forms. Having read the content, Linziken immediately began kicking his legs, eager to experience the effects of use it or lose it. You are kicking, Qi blood +1, leg muscle strength +1, Kicking proficiency +1. At the moment the prompt appeared, Lin Zikin clearly felt a surge of strength in his legs. He was quietly thrilled and kicked even harder. When he tired of kicking, he switched to waving his arms. You are waving your arms, Qi blood +1, arm muscle strength +1, waving proficiency +1. When his arms grew tired, he switched to twisting his body, moving all his muscles to achieve a full body workout. Almost a week passed like this. Lin Zikin's body had become much stronger, able to sit up on his own from the crib, no longer having to lie there just looking at the ceiling. Normally, newborns need around 7 months before they can sit up by themselves. But he is only just over 4 months old and already able to do so. In the following half month, Lin Zikin specifically trained his limbs and quickly mastered the skill of crawling. You are crawling, Qi blood +1, body coordination +1, crawling proficiency +1. To avoid drawing undue trouble by appearing too otherworldly and too contrary to human nature, Lin Zikin did not reveal his ability to crawl in front of his parents. He would wait until his parents were asleep at night before quietly getting out of bed to practice crawling on the ground. He crawled faster than the cockroaches in the house, moving swiftly in and out of the dark corners. A month later, Lin Zikin also learned to walk. You are walking, Qi blood +1, body coordination +1, walking proficiency +1. At the same time, by watching the news on TV, he gained a preliminary understanding of the world he lived in. Humans are still on Earth, but Earth has mutated, and many terrifying unknown creatures have emerged. These unknown creatures are collectively called exotic beasts. To combat the exotic beasts, humanity has carved out 2 paths over the course of several decades. 1. Genetic modification, fusing with exotic beast genes to gain some of the creature's abilities, fighting magic with magic. 2. Overcoming the frailty of flesh and blood with mechanical ascension, defeating exotic beasts with technology. And these 2 paths correspond to the genetic integrators and the mechanically modified humans. This world is so dangerous, I hope I can grow up safely, keep my head down to evolve, and avoid any accidents. Lin Zikin hoped in his heart. Half a month later, Lin Zikin's walking became more and more proficient, and he estimated it wouldn't be long before he could run. Most newborns need to be around 1 year old to learn how to walk. Yet he's only half a year old and almost ready to run, truly a crushing advantage. 6 months have passed in the blink of an eye. I can crawl in front of my parents now, no need to hide it any longer, he thought to himself. Soon, Lin Zikin began to display his crawling abilities in front of his parents. Honey, look, Ziai Chen can crawl now, and he's so fast, Zhang Wangzhen said in surprise. Lin Yanzheng was also surprised but even more so excited and thrilled, his face full of smiles as he said, he's barely over 6 months old and can crawl so fast, our son is a genius. Ding dong! Suddenly, the doorbell of the house rang. Lin Yanzheng went to check and found that the neighbors who had just moved in a few days ago came to visit, bringing a gift. Hearing the noise at the door, Zhang Wangzhen picked up Lin Zikin, who was crawling around on the ground, and went to meet the new neighbors. The visitors were a young couple. The man was holding a gift, and the woman was cradling a baby girl. Lin Yanzheng accepted the gift and warmly invited the young couple to come in and sit down. Afterward, the 2 families sat down in the house to drink tea and chat cheerfully. During the conversation, they learned that their children were born just 1 day apart, a remarkable coincidence. Lin Zikin sat on Zhang Wangzhen's lap, curiously sizing up the baby girl born a day after him. Big, watery eyes, looking very adorable. The baby girl was also curiously observing him, and whenever their gazes met, she smiled, her smile exceptionally radiant. After listening to the adults' conversation for a while, Lin Zikin found it boring and struggled a bit in Zhang Wangzhen's arms, signaling for his mother to put him down. Zhang Wangzhen understood what he meant and said with a laugh that he was really active before placing him on the ground. Once on the floor, Linziken quickly started crawling around, exercising his body. You have crawled 10 meters, Chi blood +1, body coordination +1, crawling proficiency +1. You have crawled 100 meters, Chi blood +10, body coordination +10, crawling proficiency +10. You have crawled 500 meters. Linziken crawled quickly, zipping around the house like a mouse. The baby girl's mother, upon seeing this, exclaimed in surprise, "That's amazing, your baby has learned to crawl so quickly, my Han Han has just learned to sit up." Seeing the astonishment on the other's face, Lin Yanzheng and Zhang Wangzhen felt a bit of pride internally, thinking how great it was to have a genius son. Chapter 2. A discerning eye for talent. Your running, Chi blood +1, body coordination +1, running speed +1, running technique +1. Your jumping, Chi blood +1, leg muscle strength +1, jumping height +1, jumping technique +1. Your talking to yourself, mental strength +1, language ability +1, expressive ability +1. Before he knew it, half a month had passed. With the effect of use it or lose it, Linziken had mastered basic skills such as running, jumping, and language. Although he had already mastered several skills, since he was only 7 months old, he didn't dare to show too much in front of his parents. He was worried that if he appeared too extraordinary, it might bring a lot of unnecessary trouble later on. Let's not even talk about the extreme cases of being studied in detail. At the very least, appearing on variety shows, becoming an internet celebrity, and participating in various competitions would definitely be on the cards. Linziken just wanted to evolve quietly, he didn't want to spend too much energy on other things. Of course, it was still okay to show a bit of genius, just to make his parents happy. Ziai Chen, let's go, mommy will take you to play at Han Han's house. Zhang Wangzhen picked up Linziken from the ground and gave him a smiling kiss on his face. The Han Han that she mentioned was the baby girl living next door. Saying that she was taking her son to play with the baby girl was actually more for herself, as she wanted to chat with the baby girl's mom. The two mothers were of similar age, both liked to dress up, and enjoyed chatting about celebrity gossip. After visiting each other a few times, they quickly became close friends who talked about everything. Arriving at the neighbors, Zhang Wangzhen placed Linziken next to the baby girl and sat on the sofa, laughing and chatting with the baby girl's mom. Seeing Linziken, the baby girl's face broke into a smile, and she reached out to touch him, wanting physical contact. Linziken wasn't interested in playing with a baby. He quickly crawled away. He crawled around the neighbor's house to exercise his body. The baby girl also wanted to follow and crawl, but her limbs were too weak to move, and she could only sit and watch Linziken scuttle about fast as a cockroach. She seemed to really like Linziken, and whenever she saw him crawling towards her, her eyes would curve into a radiant smile. Ziai Chen, don't just crawl on your own, play with Han Han, Zhang Wangzhen said after seeing that his knees had become dirted with crawling. Picking him up, she placed him back beside the baby girl. To give Zhang Wangzhen face in front of others, Linziken obediently stayed with the baby girl, acting like an understanding and well-behaved child. The baby girl's mom said enviously, "Wangzhen, your Ziai Chen really listens to you." Not at all, Han Han is also very well-behaved, and she loves to smile. Who knows how many boys she will charm when she grows up, Zhang Wangzhen replied with a compliment in return. While the two mothers were praising each other's children, the baby girl suddenly peed. Not wearing diapers and in split pants, she urinated all over the floor. Seeing the puddle, the baby girl, looking overjoyed, started slapping it with her hand, splashing water everywhere. Urinating and slapping. Slapping and laughing. She was having the time of her life all by herself. Linziken couldn't take it and quickly moved away to avoid being splashed. The baby girl's mom said with a headache, "Are you made of water, little girl? You just went not long ago, how can you pee again?" After saying this, she picked up the baby girl and went to the bathroom to change her pants. Watching her friend hurry away, Zhang Wangzhen thought she had it quite easy as a mother. Others' babies seemed so troublesome to take care of. But her own child, after the first couple of months of wetting pants, had not wet them again in the following months. Whenever he wanted to urinate, he would make noises to alert the adults to take him. Most importantly, he didn't cry at night, which was very reassuring for the parents. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, another month had passed. By this time, Lin Zikin had grown strong enough to do push UPS and sit UPS, which was extraordinarily unbelievable. The first time he tried push UPS, it was tough and he did them slowly. But after a while, he quickly became proficient. Watching him move like a pile driver, his body violently rising and falling. The baby crib creaked and groaned. It would make men feel inferior, and women ecstatic. When he was right in the middle of it, Zhang Wangzhen pushed the door open and walked in. Seeing Lin Zikin intensely doing push UPS on the baby crib, she was completely dumbfounded. For a moment, she thought her eyes were deceiving her. She instinctively rubbed her eyes. Taking advantage of the moment Zhang Wangzhen was rubbing her eyes, Lin Zikin quickly lay down to feign sleep. Weird, did I see that wrong? Zhang Wangzhen walked to the side of the baby crib and stopped, turning Lin Zikin over to lie on his back and sleep while she muttered to herself in confusion. In the days that followed, every time his parents left, Lin Zikin would secretly do push UPS and sit UPS to train. You are doing push UPS, Qi blood +1, arm muscle strength +1, chest muscle strength +1, push-up proficiency +1. You are doing sit UPS, Qi blood +1, abdominal muscle strength +1, sit-up proficiency +1. After training like this for a while, one day, Zhang Wangzhen was bathing Lin Zikin and was shocked to discover that her little baby actually had ABS, and she was completely taken aback. Husband, something major has happened, come quick. What's happened? Lin Yanzheng ran into the bathroom with a look of panic. Then he was also stunned. What's this situation? Seeing the faintly visible six-pack on Lin Zikin's body, Lin Yanzheng couldn't believe it. How could an 8-month-old baby have ABS? Could it be that crawling around every day built up his ABS? Lin Yanzheng couldn't fathom it. That evening, the family of 3 sat down for dinner. Lin Zikin had already been weaned and could drink some nutritious porridge. He had a big appetite, consuming bowl after bowl. This was because of the high-intensity training every day, which caused a huge energy expenditure. And the unsuspecting parents found it incredible that an infant could eat so much. After dinner, the family of 3 sat on the couch watching TV. They were watching the news. There was a report about exotic beasts attacking, and the parents watched with worried faces, saying that the incidents of exotic beasts attacking were happening more frequently, and the world was becoming increasingly dangerous. Then they saw a report about a prodigy. It was said that in the capital city, a 1,000-year-old martial arts family had a naturally gifted genius who, at 2 years old, could lift a 20 kilograms dumbbell with one hand, astounding the whole country. Lin Yanzheng couldn't help but sigh as he watched. Those martial arts families in the capital city have good genes and resources. Many of their descendants are born prodigies. It's quite enviable. Out of a mother's bias for her son, Zhang Wangzhen disagreed. My Zikin is also a prodigy. He will certainly not lose to those so-called family geniuses. Listening to Zhang Wangzhen's words, Lin Zikin mentally gave her a thumbs up, thinking that it was indeed his esteemed mother who could recognize true talent. Afterward, his gaze stayed on the TV screen, watching the prodigy who easily lifted the barbell with one hand, his mind filled with countless thoughts. To be able to easily lift a 20 kilograms dumbbell with one hand at 2 years old. A genius that amazed the whole country. I wonder if I could also easily lift a 20 kilograms object with one hand when I'm 2 years old? Chapter 3. 2 Little Kids Without Suspicion. As he grew older, Lin Zikin began to understand more about his family background. They lived in a place called Shanghai City. In a stand-alone house in a village within the city. Just a simple family of 3, with no other relatives. Both parents were internet novelists, they didn't socialize much, and usually stayed at home typing away at their keyboards. Their only social interactions were the occasional meals with the family of a baby girl who had just moved in next door. After dining together several times, Lin Zikin became familiar with the baby girl's family. He learned that her name was Shen Qinghan, her parents were teachers, her mother was Su Meng, and her father was Shen Jianyi. Beyond that, he didn't know much else. Today, Lin Zikin was celebrating his 2nd birthday. Right after the celebration, the first thing he did was to find a box of odds and ends, put nearly 20 kilograms of miscellaneous items in it, and then tried to lift it with one hand. To his ease, he lifted it up effortlessly. All right, now I'm also a nationally sensational prodigy. Lin Zikin smiled. At that moment, Zhang Wangzhen's voice came from the living room, Ziai Chen, Han Han is here to play with you. Upon hearing this, Lin Zikin put down the box of odds and ends and walked to the living room at a leisurely pace. When he arrived in the living room, he saw a beautiful young woman and a delicate little girl who looked like a porcelain doll. The visitors were none other than Shen Qinghan and her mother from next door. The baby girl who couldn't even crawl before had now grown into an adorable little girl with twin ponytails. Ziai Chen, these are the egg tarts Aunt Meng made, they're really yummy. Su Meng handed Lin Zikin a box of egg tarts, saying this with a beaming smile. Lin Zikin accepted the egg tarts and thanked her politely, thank you, Aunt Meng. This thanks sounded very bitter in Su Meng's heart. At the same age, Lin Zikin could already converse fluently with adults, while her own daughter, Shen Qinghan, often couldn't express her thoughts completely. She seemed too slow, almost dull. Truly, there's no harm until comparison is made. After staying in the living room and tasting a few egg tarts, Lin Zikin, having nothing better to do, soon went back to his room, closed the door, and began to train his body intensively. Shen Qinghan, who really enjoyed his company, followed him into the room and sat by curiously watching him as he frantically went up and down on the floor. Here, have an egg tart. Watching him, Shen Qinghan reached out with an egg tart in her hand towards Lin Zikin's mouth. Her voice sounded babyish, and she slurred her words, saying have us here. No need, you eat it. Here, it's really good. Shen Qinghan insisted that Lin Zikin eat the egg tart. Egg tarts were her favorite food, and she wanted to share it with Lin Zikin desperately. Lin Zikin had no choice but to stop and eat the egg tart she offered. After finishing the egg tart, he continued doing push-ups to train. After a while, he felt the intensity wasn't quite enough, and the physical improvements were not noticeable. As his body grew stronger, simple fitness exercises were no longer enough to satisfy his need for evolution. He stopped, looked around the room, and ultimately set his eyes on Shen Qinghan sitting beside him, inviting her to sit on his back as a weight. Shen Qinghan was more than happy to oblige and clung to his back like a koala. While doing weighted push-ups, Lin Zikin noticed a strange sensation from his back, realizing that Shen Qinghan was wearing a thick diaper under her dress. It's obviously not normal for a 2-year-old to still be wearing diapers. Regarding this issue, Lin Zikin had heard Su Meng complaining to Zhang Wangzhen that Shen Qinghan still liked to wet her pants, so she often had to wear diapers as a result. Time flies. Time flew, and before long, another year had passed. Lin Zikin reached the age of 3. By now, his physical strength was so freakish that he could lift a 40 kg rice sack single-handedly. He didn't know what level that was. He only knew that the child prodigy from capital city he had seen on TV last year was no match for him now. He had always been keeping an eye on the news about that prodigy. The prodigy was now 4.5 and still struggling to lift a 30 kg dumbbell with one hand. The gap in strength was vast. Lin Zikin was puzzled by this. How could the capital city prodigy lift a 20 kilograms dumbbell with one hand at 2 years old, but fail to lift a 30 kilograms one at 4.5 years old? That growth curve for strength didn't make any sense. Lin Zikin thought about it briefly but didn't dwell on it too much. With a quick thought, he activated his character panel to check his data. Name, Lin Zikin. Age, 3 years old. Biological level, ordinary, tier 1. Biometric attributes, use it or lose it. Lin Zikin's gaze landed on the biological level, where the words ordinary tier 1 still displayed. He could lift a 40 kilograms object with one hand and yet his biological level was still only ordinary tier 1? What level would ordinary tier 2 be? Surpassing human limits? As he was contemplating, Zhang Wangzhen suddenly walked over and asked, Ziai Chen, Mom is going to go shopping with Auntie Meng later. Do you want to go shopping with Mommy or stay at home with Daddy? I'll go shopping with Mommy. Lin Zikin answered without hesitation. Being cooped up at home every day training had been somewhat stifling, it was time for a change of scenery. As mother and son were changing shoes to go out, Shen Qinghan and her daughter were already waiting outside. 3-year-old Shen Qinghan wore a lacy dress with a pink butterfly hair clip, her big caracal eyes brimming with water, looking incredibly lively and cute. Ziai Chen, have some cookie. Shen Qinghan broke the cookie she was holding in half and offered the bigger piece to Lin Zikin. Her voice wasn't as babyish as before, and her speech was no longer slurred, sounding much smoother. Thank you. Lin Zikin took the cookie and ate it in one bite. Seeing this, Shen Qinghan's face was all smiles. She was still as cheerful as before and, as habitual, was still prone to accidents, wearing a thick diaper under her dress. You are walking. Qi blood +1, body coordination +1, walking proficiency +1. Upon reaching the street, Lin Zikin exercised by walking while observing the surrounding environment. Streams of traffic and towering buildings were not much different from his previous life. At most, the architecture and the modes of transportation seemed a bit more high-tech. Slightly more obvious was the occasional presence of beastmen and robots among the crowd. So-called beastmen were martial artists who had fused with exotic beast genes, resulting in some features of exotic beasts on their bodies. Some had animal ears on their heads. Some had wings sprouting from their backs. There were also those covered in scales, resembling lizards moving through the crowd. Robots were mechanically modified humans, with various body parts turned metallic, looking like Genos from the anime One Punch Man and filled with cyberpunk style. Both genetic integrators and mechanically modified humans were not common, one had to walk a considerable distance before occasionally spotting one. However, their appearances were quite striking, so they tended to draw attention the moment they appeared. Chapter 4. The Intelligence Root of Heaven and Man. The two mothers were shopping, and soon they walked into a women's clothing boutique. They tried on dress after dress, constantly praising each other the whole time. Su Meng exaggerated how good Zhang Wangzhen looked in a short skirt, with long and white legs, very sexy. Zhang Wangzhen praised Su Meng for looking attractive in a spaghetti-strap dress, with a delicate and sexy collarbone, and shoulders that were smooth and tender, particularly enticing. Listening to the mutual flattery between the two mothers, Lin Zikin couldn't help but size them up. It had to be said, the two young moms were truly charming. Both figure and appearance were top-notch, easily scoring at least an 8 out of 10. And they were in the prime of their 20s. They looked youthful yet mature, exuding a woman's charm from head to toe. Lin Zikin only glanced over them briefly before shifting his gaze away from the two mothers and onto Shen Qinghan beside him. Melon seed face, large eyes, cute upturned nose, cherry lips, skin delicate and fair. It could be said he had inherited his mother Su Meng's beauty quite well, and he would certainly be a fine beauty when he grew up. After coming out of the women's clothing boutique, the two mothers led the children into a toy store on the upper floor of the mall. They wanted to buy some toys for the two kids. Shen Qinghan looked around but wasn't interested in any toys, instead, she was eyeing the snacks in the snack store across the way. Lin Zikin was also uninterested in toys and said he wanted to go into the next door bookstore to buy books and read, hoping to further understand this world through them. The two mothers were quite puzzled, as kids at this age usually love toys. Why were these two so different? But as puzzled as they felt, the mothers still indulged their children, buying what they wanted. When buying books, Lin Zikin chose ones related to exotic beasts, genetic integrators, and mechanically modified humans. Zi Chen, these books might not be very suitable for children, you know. How about we go and buy some picture books with Han Han over there? Zhang Wangzhen suggested, pointing to the children's area ahead. Lin Zikin opened one of the books he had picked and told Zhang Wangzhen, "There are pictures in these books too, I like these pictures." Zhang Wangzhen glanced at the pictures in the books. Some were ferocious-looking exotic beasts, others were mutated genetic integrators, and there were also expensive parts of mechanically modified humans. She felt that children shouldn't be reading these kinds of books and should stick to more cartoonish children's books, but since her son liked them, she bought them anyway. Having returned home, Lin Zikin eagerly began to read through the books he had brought back. You are reading books, Spirit +1, Comprehension Ability +1, Knowledge +1. Achievement, a cumulative reading of 100 million words. Reward, acquired biometric attributes innate wisdom. Accumulative reading word count, 10086/100,000,000. As Lin Zikin concentrated on reading, he suddenly noticed several lines of text floating in front of him. He briefly looked over the content and felt a thrill of excitement in his heart. Following his initial kicking achievement, another achievement task had finally appeared. Aside from the dull exercises he had to do every day, he would now have to add reading for leisure. As days went by, gradually, it came time for Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan to attend kindergarten. Their parents discussed together and decided to enroll the two children in Rainbow Kindergarten located closest to home, which would be convenient for joint drop-off and pick-up. The tuition at this kindergarten was relatively expensive. But correspondingly, the curriculum was more enriching than a typical kindergarten's. There were outdoor activities. There were foreign language classes. There were intellectual development classes and so on. Just the day before school started, Lin Zikin's parents suddenly had to go out for a trip. Before leaving, they dropped him off at Shen Qinghan's place, entrusting her parents to take him to kindergarten for registration the following day. At the neighbor's home, Su Meng said in a gentle voice, "Zi Chen, your mom and dad won't return until tomorrow night. You'll stay at Auntie Meng's house tonight, and tomorrow morning, I'll take you and Han Han to kindergarten." "Okay, thank you Auntie Meng," Lin Zikin nodded and replied. Hearing him say this, Shen Jianyi, sitting nearby, couldn't help but remark, "Zi Chen is such a sensible boy, even remembering to thank Auntie Meng. He's like a little adult. If only Han Han could be as understanding as you." That night, after taking a bath together, Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan went to their room to sleep. Shen Qinghan was very happy to be able to sleep with Lin Zikin. She kept talking to him, chatting with him, talking about how much she was looking forward to going to kindergarten tomorrow and making a lot of friends there. Lin Zikin occasionally responded to her, but most of the time, he was sitting against the wall on his bed, reading. You are currently reading Exotic Beasts Illustrated, Spirit +1, Comprehension +1, Exotic Beast Knowledge +1. Total words read, 43.96 million/100 million. To complete the reading achievement, Lin Zikin maintained an average reading speed of 300,000 words per day for nearly 5 months. Yet, he hadn't even reached halfway on the progress bar. This reading achievement was more than 10 times harder than the previous leg-kicking achievement. After reading for a while longer, Lin Zikin felt it was about time to sleep, so he put down the book and prepared for bed. By this time, Shen Qinghan, who had been chattering non-stop just moments ago, was already lying beside him, asleep with an expression of bliss so profound that drool was leaking from the corner of her mouth. Linziken took a tissue to wipe her drool. As he did so, his gaze involuntarily fell on the diaper she was wearing. Even now at 4 years old, Shen Qinghan still wet the bed and often had to wear diapers. Her parents had taken her to several hospitals to have her body checked, but no specific reason had been found. The next morning, Su Meng got up early to cook porridge and called the 2 children to have breakfast. Linziken had already woken up early. By the time Su Meng came to wake them up, he had been exercising in the room for more than an hour. On the contrary, Shen Qinghan struggled to get up from bed for half the morning before being pulled into the living room by Su Meng. During breakfast, Linziken quickly finished his porridge, even washing his bowl by himself, displaying his thoughtfulness. Meanwhile, Shen Qinghan was instinctively spooning porridge into her mouth while struggling to keep her eyes open, falling into a bug-like state where she was too sleepy to eat and too hungry to sleep. While waiting for Shen Qinghan to finish her porridge, Linziken calmly sat and read a book, continuously absorbing the knowledge from its pages. He learned that the biological levels included ordinary, advanced level, rare level, epic level, legendary, and mythical, a total of 6 levels. Each of these levels was further divided into 9 orders. The above-mentioned levels were something humans had learned hundreds of years ago from ancient stone tablets within some mysterious ruins and had been in use ever since. After centuries of exploration and research, humans learned a rather disheartening fact. Because of their frail flesh and blood, humans had a very low evolutionary upper limit, capping at the ordinary 9th rank. To evolve further, one would need to integrate powerful exotic beast genes. Alternatively, through mechanical modification, one could give their body the strength to rival that of an advanced level creature, a rare level creature, or even an epic level creature. The might of an epic level creature had reached the point where it could physically withstand a nuclear bomb. Physically withstand a nuclear bomb? Can this really be achieved? Linziken found it incredibly hard to believe. Bedwetter King. Rainbow Kindergarten. At the school gate, countless children gazed at their parents outside the fence, their little faces streaked with tears. This was the first time these children had grown up to have to leave their parents' side and spend a day in a strange place. "Mommy, don't go, Waya." Shen Qinghan leaned on the fence, tears flowing as if they cost nothing, crying like a little tear-soaked creature. Su Meng soothed her with a gentle voice, "Han Han, don't cry. Once school is over in the afternoon, Mommy will come and pick you up." Shen Qinghan kept crying. Su Meng, helpless, turned to Lin Ziken next to her and said, "Ziken, help Aunt Meng look after Han Han. Aunt Meng will come to take you home in the afternoon." I got it, Aunt Meng." Lin Ziken nodded and said. Before long, the gates of the kindergarten were shut completely. Many children stopped crying when they could no longer see their parents. After all, without an audience, the actors naturally lost their motivation to perform. In their place, the kindergarten teachers in the school became busy. To make the children like kindergarten, the teachers all spoke softly and organized games for the kids to play. In Lin Ziken's class, they played arm wrestling to see who was stronger. This game had simple rules and was easy for children to understand. Most importantly, since the game was face-to-face, it helped the children quickly get to know each other. Lin Ziken was not interested in arm wrestling, he thought about finding a corner to exercise his body. But seeing that Shen Qinghan really wanted to play, he ended up joining her. After playing for a while and seeing that Shen Qinghan had fully integrated into the atmosphere of the game, and was laughing and chatting with a little girl with hair tied in buns, Lin Ziken quietly left the crowd to find a place to do push-ups. Soon after he left, Shen Qinghan suddenly felt the need to use the bathroom and went to the restroom hand in hand with the girl with the buns. They were chatting and laughing going there, but their relationship soured by the time they came out. "So big and still wearing diapers, embarrassing, I don't want to play with someone who wears diapers." I'm not," I don't. Faced with the disdain from the girl with the buns, Shen Qinghan was somewhat at a loss. Don't play with her, everyone. She's so big and still wears diapers, too embarrassing. When other little girls passed by, the girl with the buns would tell them not to play with Shen Qinghan. Seeing this, Shen Qinghan was close to tears. She had originally wanted to make many friends at school. How did it suddenly turn out like this? She felt it was all the fault of the diaper, so she hurried into the bathroom to take off her diaper. But even so, the girl with the buns still disdained her. She even gave her the nickname Diaper Princess and wanted to isolate her from everyone. The malice of children is always unreasonable and sudden. Shen Qinghan felt the malice from the girl with the buns and immediately lost hope in kindergarten life. Wiping her tears and feeling wronged, Shen Qinghan turned and ran off to find Lin Zikan. Now she finally understood that only Lin Zikan would never disdain her for wetting her pants, always being her friend. You are doing sit ups, chi blood +1, abdominal muscle strength +1, sit-up proficiency +1. You are doing squats, chi blood +1, leg muscle strength +1, squat proficiency +1. You are doing pull ups, chi blood +1, arm muscle strength +1, back muscle strength +1, pull-up proficiency +1. Your biological level has been promoted to ordinary level 2. Lin Zikan was focused on exercising when suddenly, a surprising prompt appeared in the void. He had broken through the biological level. He could hardly believe it and quickly stopped to open his character panel to check. Name, Lin Zikan. Age, 4 years old. Biological level, ordinary, level 2. Biometric attributes, use it or lose it. Indeed, he had broken through the biological level, from ordinary level 1 to ordinary level 2. A few days ago, he had tested his body's various data. He could lift an 80 kg rice box with one hand. He could jump up to 1.2 meters high from a standstill. The 100-meter sprint could break 11 seconds. These data were still a great distance away from the world records in my previous life. But overall, they were among the best of ordinary people. Without related professional training, it's simply unattainable. Such standard for a normal second tier is to be among the best in the average population of adults in my past life. Lin Zikan gained a certain understanding of the biological level for the first time in the normal stages. Based on the strength of the normal second tier as a reference, he estimated that the strength of the normal third tier would probably be enough to break all sorts of world records from his past life. And it would be by a large margin. As Lin Zikan was absorbed in these thoughts, Shen Qinghan's voice came from ahead. Zikan! Zikan, I miss mommy. I want to go home. Shen Qinghan ran up to Lin Zikan, her eyes brimming with tears as she complained to him. Lin Zikan was somewhat puzzled. Hadn't she just made a good friend? Why the sudden tears and desire to go home? What happened? Lin Zikan wiped Shen Qinghan's tears and asked softly. Shen Qinghan sobbed as she recounted her recent experiences. Lin Zikan patted her head and said, "It's okay, we will always be good friends." Yes, always good friends, pinky promise hung on a hook for 100 years, you can't change. Shen Qinghan hooked Lin Zikan's little finger, her eyes curving into a smile as she turned her cries into laughter. During nap time. As soon as the homeroom teacher, Ms. Deco, left, Shen Qinghan immediately left her own bed and, like a little cat, scurried into Lin Zikan's blanket next door. Because she was ostracized by the girl with the buns that morning, she became even clingier to Lin Zikan, relying on him more than ever before. Lin Zikan felt it was hot and uncomfortable for two people to squeeze into a small bed, but he let her do as she pleased anyway. It wasn't long before Lin Zikan fell asleep as well. In the middle of his sleep, he suddenly felt a warmth on his body. He quickly got up to check and lifted the blanket, discovering that Shen Qinghan had wet the bed. The mattress was soaked. Lin Zikan was a bit stupefied. Wasn't she wearing a diaper? Where was the diaper? Why didn't it work? While Lin Zikin was confused, a little boy nearby who hadn't fallen asleep noticed the wet mattress and immediately pointed it out, shouting. He wet the bed. Look, Zikin wet the bed. And Han Han too, how embarrassing. The other children heard the shouting and began looking towards Lin Zikin. When they saw that his mattress was soaked, they started to jeer. So big and still wetting the bed, you two are naughty children. We don't want to play with them anymore. Wet Bed Kings, from now on you two will be called the Wet Bed Kings. Shen Qinghan was woken up by the noise, and hearing the laughter and exclusion around her, her eyes reddened, and she burst into tears. Mommy, I don't want to go to kindergarten anymore, I want to go home, woo woo woo. If it were just him being ostracized, Lin Zikin wouldn't take issue with these kids. But hearing Shen Qinghan crying beside him, he knew he needed to do something. So, he got out of bed, jumped up forcefully and landed with a thump on the table, looking down at the bunch of little tykes in the class, his voice extremely authoritative. Shut up, all of you! 6XL both in the pen and the sword. Lin Zikin's shout, shut up, was so loud and forceful that it buzzed in all the little kids' ears. For a moment, all the little kids were stunned. They had never seen someone their age jump over a meter high, nor had they heard such a domineering voice. It was like an angry dad at home. Lin Zikin looked around the room and warned even more domineeringly. If you dare call her bedwetting queen again, if you dare bully Han Han, I'll make you wet the bed every night. Got it? When he reached the last sentence, he purposely increased the volume a bit. Just this small increase in volume, like the last straw that breaks the camel's back, made many little kids cry. Wah-ah, Daddy, I'm scared. Mommy, wah-ah. Mommy, Daddy, school isn't fun, I wanna go home, wah-ah. Among them, the little girl with the bun cried the hardest. Because Lin Zikin's warning was almost entirely directed at her, with extreme specificity. Soon, the commotion in the classroom drew the teachers over. What's wrong? What exactly happened? Be good, nobody cry. Ziai Chen, why are you standing on the table? It's dangerous, come down at once. Lin Zikin ignored the arriving teachers. At this moment, his entire attention was on the words that appeared out of thin air. You exude an overwhelming charisma, you've instilled fear in all the kids in class, successfully unlocking the title Kindergarten Kid King. Achievement, dominate 9 years of compulsory education. Reward, biometric attributes survival of the fittest. Titles, Kindergarten Kid King, unlocked, elementary school leader, not unlocked, junior high tyrant, not unlocked. Another achievement task had appeared? Lin Zikin felt a bit surprised. He hadn't even completed the previous reading achievements, and now another achievement task had unexpectedly appeared. It seemed that multiple achievement tasks could exist simultaneously. This was good news. With that thought, a smile spread across Lin Zikin's face, incongruous with the cries filling the classroom at the moment. The next day, the kindergarten received complaints from several parents in the class. These parents, having heard about the previous day's incident from their children, called the kindergarten to demand an explanation. The kindergarten had no choice but to invite the relevant parents to the school to mediate the issue in person. The complaining parents thought Lin Zikin was to blame, directing their anger toward Lin Yanzheng and Zhang Wangzhen. Shen Qinghan's parents, Shen Jianyi and Su Meng, felt this was unreasonable. Both believed that their daughter was the one being bullied and that Lin Zikin was merely standing up for his daughter, so what was his fault? So, the couple fiercely retorted the complaining parents. Both being teachers, articulate and logical, they quickly silenced those seeking an explanation. It wasn't until the principal stepped in and gave everyone a way out. Saying it was all a misunderstanding, that no one was at fault, and thus the matter was temporarily put to rest. Considering what was best for the children. The next day, the principal moved Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan to another class. In this new class, with Lin Zikin's protection, Shen Qinghan was never ostracized by the other little kids again, and even made quite a few friends. However, these were just ordinary friends. The only true friend Shen Qinghan recognized was Lin Zikin. Half a year flew by in a blink of an eye. That night, Lin Zikin read a book in his room after taking a bath. Before long, several notification messages appeared out of thin air. Cumulative reading of 100 million characters achieved. Biometric attribute acquired, Divine Intellect. Divine Intellect, photographic memory, learning ability reaches the pinnacle of mankind. After reading the attribute description, Lin Zikin casually flipped to a page in the book he had not read and rapidly scanned the content. Once done, he closed the book and tried to recite the entire page from memory. He then discovered, to his delight, that he could recite everything word for word without error. He truly had a photographic memory. By the time night deepened, after his parents had gone to their room to sleep, Lin Zikin slipped out of his own room and sneaked into his parents' office, where he turned on their work computer and found a high school mathematics video on derivatives to watch. In his previous life, during his high school years, he had been tormented by derivatives. Now, he was going to use derivatives to test the effect of the divine wisdom root. You are studying mathematics, spirit +1, logical thinking +1, calculative ability +1. In the dim room, the fluorescent light from the computer screen shone directly on Lin Zikin's face, making it appear somewhat shadowy. About half an hour later, the video ended. It was at that moment Lin Zikin felt enlightenment pouring into him, and he instantly understood derivatives. He immediately searched for past math college entrance examination papers and worked on several problems involving derivatives, easily deriving the answers. In his previous life's senior year of high school, no matter how hard he tried, he could not figure out derivatives, but in this life, being only in kindergarten, he solved them with ease. Is this what it's like when one's learning abilities reach the pinnacle of humanity? Too powerful. From this moment on, I am a genius with both literary and martial prowess. Lin Zikin felt a slight excitement in his heart. The next morning, Lin Zikin arrived at the kindergarten for his weekly intelligence development class. The teacher of the class was a very young-looking little sister, tender as if she had just graduated from high school. Everyone called her Strawberry Teacher. In class, Strawberry Teacher posed a question to the children. If the teacher gave everyone 100 yuan and asked you to buy the same thing to fill up an entire classroom, what would you buy? Buy chocolate, because chocolate is delicious. Then I'll buy ice cream, I think ice cream tastes better than chocolate. Daddy likes the 4070 Ti graphics card, he even talks about the 4070 Ti in his dreams, so I want to buy a graphics card for Daddy. The children answered eagerly. Unfortunately, none of them hit the mark, clearly not understanding the question. Are there any other answers? There's a reward for the right answer. Strawberry Teacher looked around the class and asked. However, no child was able to come up with an answer. Strawberry Teacher eventually had to reveal the answer. We can buy candles, as long as the candles are lit, their flames would light up the entire classroom. Below, Shen Qinghan grumbled, I really want Strawberry Teacher's reward, but I'm too silly to answer. Hearing the little girl's grumble, Lin Zikin stood up, looked towards Strawberry Teacher on the lectern, and said, Strawberry Teacher, I don't think candles will work. Oh! Strawberry Teacher was a bit surprised, not expecting any child to outright refute the standard answer. Curious, she smiled and asked Lin Zikin, Zi Chen, why won't candles work? Lin Zikin replied, because the classroom has tables, chairs, and all sorts of things. In the candlelight, these things will all cast shadows. Upon hearing this, Strawberry Teacher's eyes lit up. Although Lin Zikin's answer seemed a bit nitpicky, she liked this kind of thoughtful child. Then, Zi Chen, what do you think could fill up an entire classroom? Strawberry Teacher asked this question as a formality, not really expecting Lin Zikin to have an answer. Even she couldn't think of a better answer than candles on the spot. However, Lin Zikin's next reply dazzled her. I would use the 100 yuan to buy a dress for Strawberry Teacher, and then the joy of Strawberry Teacher receiving the dress would fill the entire classroom. You want to give me a dress? Strawberry Teacher's eyes widened in disbelief. This answer was too perfect. Could a 4-year-old child come up with this? Am I dreaming? Strawberry Teacher suddenly felt as though she had indeed received a dress, charmed by the 4-year-old Lin Zikin. After class, Strawberry Teacher took Lin Zikin to the office, handed him a box of puzzle toys, and said with a sweet smile. Ziai Chen, Strawberry Teacher really liked your answer in class. As a reward, this puzzle toy is for you. Strawberry Teacher hopes you will become even more intelligent. Thank you, Strawberry Teacher. Lin Zikin accepted the gift, feeling utterly indifferent. With the Divine Wisdom Root attribute, he didn't need a puzzle toy to help develop his intelligence. The gift was of no use to him. Thus, as soon as he returned to the classroom, he gave the puzzle toy to Shen Qinghan. Receiving the gift made Shen Qinghan very happy. She held onto the puzzle toy and couldn't let go, her eyes full of her Ziai Chen. 7 Special Transfer Student. Come on, everyone, line up and smile. All right, no more crying. We'll have chances to see each other in the future, and we might even end up in the same class in primary school. Parents, come over for a group photo too. In Rainbow Kindergarten, a group of teachers was busy organizing the senior class children for a photo to commemorate their graduation. The 3 long years of kindergarten had passed just like that. Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan, a pair of childhood sweethearts, had both successfully graduated from Rainbow Kindergarten. From 4-year-old toddlers when they first started to now 7-year-old big kids. They left a significant mark on their lives. Han Han, come here to Aunt Xin, and take a photo with Ziai Chen. Coming. Shen Qinghan ran over to Zhang Wangzhen with a beaming smile to take a photo with her favorite Lin Zikin. Lin Zikin looked at Shen Qinghan and realized that his childhood sweetheart had, almost unbeknownst to him, grown into a beauty that was almost unrealistically stunning. She was a dazzling presence in the entire kindergarten and the secret crush of most little boys. Fortunately, his own looks weren't bad either, just as dazzling. And in the past 3 years, he had swept all the awards in Rainbow Kindergarten, which made his own charm even surpass that of Shen Qinghan's. Over the years, he received many gifts from the little girls in the kindergarten. Every once in a while, he would find snacks secretly stuffed into his desk drawer by girls who had a crush on him. After the photo session ended, Su Meng found Zhang Wangzhen and asked, Wangzhen, have you decided where you're planning to send Chen to primary school? I feel like all the primary schools nearby are more or less the same, so we're thinking of sending him to Sunshine Primary School, which is closest to our home. Sunshine Primary School is quite good. Then I'll have Han Han join as well. Su Meng said with a smile. Upon hearing this, Shen Qinghan immediately looked at Lin Zikin with wide, beaming eyes, and said eagerly. Ziai Chen, we can continue being classmates in primary school. Yep, continue being classmates. Then for middle school, high school, and university in the future, can we keep being classmates? Sure, Lin Zikin said with a smile. He had grown accustomed to having Shen Qinghan by his side and enjoyed this feeling of growing up together as childhood sweethearts. He hoped it could continue forever. The summer vacation went by quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was the back-to-school season in September. For Lin Zikin, life in primary school wasn't much different from kindergarten. He spent his time in class immersed in his own books, delving deeper into the background of this world. Then, when class was over, he would quietly find a secluded corner and intensively train his body, advancing further on the evolutionary path. The only difference was that Lin Zikin no longer needed his parents to drop him off or pick him up from school. He chose to walk to and from school, giving himself more freedom and simultaneously easing his parents' minds. Lin Yanzheng and Zhang Wangzhen were both very confident in this arrangement. After all, the school was not far away, just a 10-minute walk. Of course, what truly reassured the couple was that Lin Zichen had always been exceptionally outstanding from a young age, skilled in both academics and sports, capable of taking good care of himself without their worry. When Shen Qinghan saw that Lin Zichen walked to school, she also clamored to join him. Shen Jianyi and Su Meng were initially reluctant, but seeing how insistent she was, they eventually agreed. They thought that with Lin Zichen around, their somewhat clumsy daughter would be well protected. That morning, after Lin Zichen had finished breakfast, he waited at the front door for Shen Qinghan to finish and come out so they could walk to school together. While waiting, with nothing to do, he had a thought and opened his character panel to check the data. Name, Lin Zichen. Age, 7 years old. Biological level, ordinary, tier 2. Biometric attributes, use it or lose it, innate wisdom of heaven and man. The biological level was still ordinary tier 2. However, compared to when he was attending the junior class in kindergarten 2.5 years ago, Lin Zichen's strength had improved significantly. He could lift a 200 kg barbell with one hand. His vertical jump could reach 2 meters. His 100-meter sprint broke the 8-second barrier. Each piece of data far surpassed the world records of his previous life. If he were in his previous life, he would be akin to a superhuman. But in this mutated Earth where extraordinary powers exist, he was still far from being a Superman. Over the past 2.5 years, Lin Zichen had watched many videos online related to genetic integrators, mechanically modified humans, and exotic beasts. In the videos, the three kinds could fly, escape through the earth, move mountains, and fill the seas, and do the impossible, comparable to land-based immortal gods. Every time he watched, he was greatly shocked, filled with a sense of awe. There are too many powerful beings in this world that are beyond understanding. I must work hard to evolve, striving to reach that realm comparable to the immortal gods one day. Lin Zichen quietly thought to himself. At this moment, Shen Qinghan came out after finishing her breakfast. She wore a light blue summer school uniform and hopped energetically toward Lin Zichen, saying with a smile and gleaming eyes, "Xiao Chen, wait no longer." Since Lin Zichen graduated from kindergarten, Lin Yanzheng and Zhang Wangzhen stopped calling him Chen Chen and instead started calling him Xiao Chen, making it sound less childish. Hearing it often, Shen Qinghan followed suit and started calling him Xiao Chen as well. As for Shen Qinghan, Lin Zichen still called her Han Han. After all, it's different for girls than boys. A girl's repetitive nickname only sounds cute, never childish. They arrived at Sunshine Primary School. Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan were still desk mates. But they never talked during class, quietly doing their own things. Lin Zichen was reading an extracurricular book he brought from home. Shen Qinghan was attentively listening to the teacher's lecture. Initially, during kindergarten, Shen Qinghan seemed a bit clumsy and not too bright. When learning English, she could read grandmother as Rola and Imada. But upon reaching primary school, she became unusually intelligent, steadily scoring second place in every exam. The reason for such a drastic change was firstly due to the good coaching at home by her teacher parents, and secondly due to Lin Zichen tutoring her at school. "Ziai Chen, have you finished the biological structure book from yesterday?" In the middle of class, as the math teacher walked past Lin Zichen and saw that the book he was now reading was different from yesterday's, she couldn't help but ask with a smile. Lin Zichen turned to the next page of his book. Without lifting his head he replied, I've finished it." He always scored full marks on math exams, earning himself the right to read extracurricular books during math class without having to worry about the teacher's opinion. The math teacher couldn't help but exclaim, "Ziai Chen, you really are amazing. I'm counting on you for next week's National Primary School Mathematics competition." Lin Zichen replied indifferently, Don't worry, teacher, I'll take first place. The other students in the class looked on with envious expressions. Feeling the gazes from her classmates, Shen Qinghan couldn't help but sit a little straighter, proud of her childhood friend's excellence, and took it as her own glory. Lin Zikan, however, remained undisturbed inside, quietly reading his book and absorbing various kinds of knowledge. In the days that followed, Lin Zikan scored first in every school exam, and broke school records in every sports meet. Whether good students or bad ones, they all felt a sense of reverence towards him. Just when he thought his 6 years of primary school would pass uneventfully and he would smoothly become the top student of primary school. One day, a very special transfer student suddenly arrived in his class. It was a day during the first semester of the 2nd grade of primary school. Lin Zikan was in the classroom attending a math class. Midway through the class, the homeroom teacher suddenly walked in with a white-haired girl and told everyone she was a transfer student who would start attending classes with the rest of the class from that day. The moment he saw the white-haired girl, Lin Zikan sensed a breath from her that did not belong to a human being. 8 passerby in childhood. The arrival of the girl with white hair immediately drew everyone's gaze, making her the center of attention in the class. That head of white hair was simply too eye-catching. Xiao Chen, her hair is so pretty, just like the snowflakes in winter. Shen Qinghan whispered into Lin Zikan's ear. Lin Zikan had no time to care whether the white-haired girl's hair looked good or not. At that moment, all his thoughts were focused on the faint non-human aura radiating from her. Why would there be an aura that doesn't belong to a human? Could she be a genetic integrator? Or perhaps the offspring of a genetic integrator? Lin Zikan's mind was filled with countless thoughts. In the days that followed, he kept an eye on the white-haired girl. The white-haired girl was named Bai Shuet. The name was very common, but it matched her white hair quite well. Several days had passed since she transferred to the school, and she never initiated conversation with anyone. As soon as class ended, she would lie down on her desk, motionless. She hardly ever went to the restroom either. At the beginning, everyone was full of curiosity about her. But as time went on, gradually they stopped paying so much attention to her. The classroom returned to its usual calm. Apart from the seemingly autistic white-haired girl in the corner, everything else was as it had always been. That was until a month later. The calm in the classroom was finally shattered. The white-haired girl sitting in the corner often emitted an unpleasant smell. It wasn't pungent, but if you got close, you would feel very uncomfortable. Lin Zikan made a special observation and discovered that the white-haired girl gave off an odor because her skin secreted some white substance. It wasn't clear what the substance was, it looked clean, but it smelled bad. Because of the smell, the white-haired girl became unwelcome. She started to be ostracized and mocked by her classmates. Faced with this ostracism and mockery, the white-haired girl, from start to finish, didn't seem to care at all, and, as always, lay on the desk to sleep as soon as class ended. Lin Zikan witnessed all this and was surprised by the girl's ability to endure, thinking she was mostly a dangerous person and was wary of her. Until one day, when a mischievous boy deliberately poured water on the white-haired girl's desk to prevent her from sleeping on it after class. The girl, who had always been expressionless, suddenly couldn't hold back her tears. They streamed down continuously. She cried until her eyes became swollen. Lin Zikan was shocked. The person he had always considered to be dangerous was crying. Meanwhile, Shen Qinghan couldn't stand to watch any more. Remembering when she was first bullied by classmates in kindergarten, she turned to Lin Zikan and said, "Xiao Chen, Bai Shui looks so pitiful. Should we go help her?" "Yes." Lin Zikan replied without hesitation. He didn't know the details about the white-haired girl and couldn't understand what her situation was. All he knew was that she didn't seem to be the dangerous person he had imagined, she was more like a self-isolated little girl who had cried because of bullying by her classmates. "Guan Chun, wipe the water off Bai Shui's desk." Linziken walked over to the mischievous boy and stopped in front of him, speaking to him in an indifferent tone. Extremely calm. So calm that there was not a single ripple. However, the mischievous boy was so frightened that he hurriedly took one of his books, using it like a tissue, and quickly wiped the water off the white-haired girl's desk. He was too afraid of Linziken and dreaded upsetting this well-respected figure known for both scholarly and physical prowess at school. It wasn't just the students in the class who were afraid of Linziken, even the 6th graders were scared of him. Every student at Sunshine Primary School had witnessed Linziken's feats during the sports festival and knew how strong his body was, so no one dared to offend him. Those who have bullied Bai Shui before, come and apologize to her now. Linziken looked around the class and directed his words to everyone his gaze fell upon. As soon as the words had been spoken, the students who had bullied the girl with white hair all came forward to apologize to her of their own accord. Some simply said they were sorry. Some offered their snacks as an apology. Whether sincere or not, each person apologized to the girl with white hair. Faced with so many apologies, the girl with white hair felt overwhelmed and for a moment forgot to cry. After everyone had finished apologizing, King Han walked up and stopped beside the girl with white hair, turned around, and said to the class, "From now on, no one is allowed to bully Bai Shui. She's our classmate, and we should all be friends with her." With Linziken there, nobody dared not to listen to King Han's words. From that moment on, nobody in the class dared to bully the girl with white hair again. Thank you all." The girl with white hair whispered her thanks to Linziken and King Han through her tears, her voice barely audible. King Han smiled and said, "No need to thank us, we're classmates. We should help each other." Ziai Chen didn't say anything but handed a tissue to the girl with white hair. The girl took the tissue, timidly raised her head to glance at Ziai Chen, and engraved his features deep into her heart. After that day, King Han began to approach the girl with white hair of her own initiative, wanting to befriend her. She would share anything tasty or fun with the girl right away, and even introduced her to Linziken, saying that from now on, the three of them would play together and become the best trio of friends in the class. King Han was so earnest because she herself had been ostracized before and felt compassion for the girl with white hair who had experienced the same. The girl with white hair was amazed by this and spoke meekly, "I smell so bad, aren't you going to dislike me for that?" Ever since she could remember, she had been shunned and disliked by her peers. Now, meeting King Han and Linziken, who were willing to be friends with her, felt surreal, as if she were dreaming. King Han took the girl with white hair's hand and said earnestly, "We won't dislike you. We'll always be good friends." After receiving King Han's response, the girl with white hair looked humbly at Linziken, valuing his opinion and anxious to hear his answer. "Same for me," Ziai Chen said simply. Feeling moved, the girl with white hair took off the pair of animal teeth she had been wearing around her neck, placed one in each of their hands, and said with little confidence, "Han Han, Xiao Chen, you've both been giving me tasty and fun things. I also want to give you something. These animal teeth were a birthday gift from my mom last year, and now I give them to you, hoping you won't mind. And, I hope we can always and forever be good friends." "Yeah, we'll always be good friends," responded King Han, accepting the animal teeth with a smiling face. Afterward, looking at the two of them, she suggested, "Let's hook our fingers and make a promise, the one that lasts for 100 years without change." Soon, on the playground of Sunshine Primary School, the slightly childish voices of the three could be heard. "Hook the finger. Hang on tight. 100 years, no changes allowed." The next day, the girl with white hair transferred out of school. King Han was completely stunned when she heard the news, not understanding what had happened at all. On the day the girl with white hair transferred, Linziken saw a tall man accompany her into the dean's office. He had a vivid memory of the man, because the man's arms, half his chest, and neck were all made of an alloy. He seemed to be a mechanically modified human. Because of this, Lin Zikin realized that the identity of the girl with white hair might not be simple. Nonetheless, he didn't dwell on it too much. After all, the girl with white hair had already moved away, and perhaps they would never meet again in this lifetime. She would only become a passerby in their childhood. 9. Roaring at night. About the little incident with the white-haired girl, several months had unknowingly passed by. That evening, Lin Zikin was massaging his parents' shoulders in the living room. Lin Yanzheng and Zhang Wangzhen, having spent long periods sitting in front of a computer writing novels, had become stiff and uncomfortable in many parts of their bodies. Especially their shoulders, which would often crackle with the slightest movement. Xiao Chen is so considerate, even massaging mommy's shoulders. Mommy hasn't spoiled you for nothing. Zhang Wangzhen lay on the sofa, enjoying Lin Zikin's appropriately firm massage, her face filled with happiness and pleasure. Sitting on the side, Lin Yanzheng felt somewhat imbalanced and complained, "That's not fair, son. You massaged me for less than half an hour, and you've been massaging her for almost an hour now, and you're still going." Zhang Wangzhen hummed, "I changed all his diapers when he was little and bathed him too. Now if I enjoy our son's filial piety a bit more, how is that unfair? If you put it that way, then I need to have a serious talk with you. I was the one who made the formula milk for him when he was little. You have the nerve to bring that up? The formula milk you prepared for our son was either too hot or too cold, shameless." The couple started bickering at the slightest disagreement. Lin Zikin smiled and didn't take it too seriously. He knew his parents were just teasing each other and wouldn't actually start arguing. Besides, a bit of teasing could add to the family atmosphere, which was quite nice. Meanwhile, the television in front was broadcasting a piece of news. Capital City Prodigy, making history again. At just 10 years old, he successfully fused with the exotic beast gene and can lift a 1,000-pound boulder with one hand. A promising future. Hearing the words Capital City Prodigy, Lin Zikin immediately turned his head to look at the TV. Sure enough, it was the Capital City Prodigy who at the age of 2 could lift a 20 kilograms weight with one hand. It's this Capital City Prodigy again. Isn't this kid appearing on the screen way too often? Is he trying to become an internet sensation to make money from endorsements? Lin Yanzheng, watching the news on the television and stroking his stubble, muttered. Zhang Wangzhen puzzled, this child is only just 10 years old, his body hasn't even developed fully yet, and they're letting him fuse with exotic beast gene. Aren't they afraid he won't be able to suppress the exotic beast gene, causing his body to mutate? Lin Yanzheng thought for a moment and said, after all, it's those millennia-old martial arts families from the capital city, they know much more than we do, perhaps they have some advanced genetic fusion technology. However advanced it is, they shouldn't use their own children as a test subject, it's incomprehensible. Zhang Wangzhen shook her head, holding no good feelings toward the television's depiction of the martial arts family. Lin Yanzheng disagreed, you don't understand. These martial arts families often value family interests more, and it's quite normal for them to sacrifice individual interests. Otherwise, they wouldn't have grown to such a scale. Yes, you know it all. Zhang Wangzhen rolled her eyes, not wanting to speak with Lin Yanzheng. Lin Zikin silently listened on the side, not voicing any opinion. He would occasionally check up on this capital city prodigy. He had learned that at the beginning of the month, the prodigy was still trying to lift a 100 kilograms barbell with one hand. To think that by the end of the month, he had grown to the point where he could lift a 500 kilograms weight with one hand. His strength had increased fivefold. All he could think was, having resources at home really is an advantage, allowing you to win right at the starting line. However, I'm only 8 years old and haven't gone through genetic fusion with an exotic beast gene yet, but I can already lift a 300 kilograms barbell single-handedly. Even if my family can't provide resource support, my future prospects are even brighter than this capital city prodigy. With these thoughts, a smile crept onto Lin Zikin's face. Soon after, The TV started reporting another piece of news. It was about a foreign country. In a neighboring country across the sea, there had been an exotic beast attack. Relevant videos were released. In the video, within a dilapidated and abandoned city, giant mutant rats blanketed the area as far as the eye could see. In one particular scene, an extremely gruesome sight could even be observed. A giant mutant rat with 8 eyes and a body length of 3 meters was gnawing on a fresh human corpse. Its fangs were covered in crimson blood. It looked alarmingly ferocious. This scene was not censored and was fully displayed on the television screen, even with close UPS that were quite unsuitable for children. Yet, Lin Yanzheng and Zhang Wangzhen did not change the channel to prevent Lin Zikan from watching. This was due to different survival environments. In this mutated Earth, the authorities wanted everyone to clearly recognize the threat of the exotic beasts. Even children were not excluded. Therefore, many reports about exotic beasts were often quite graphic. After investigation, it was found that behind this exotic beast attack incident, members of the heretical sect were instigating trouble. We hope that various nations will provide us, Sakura Sea country, with some assistance to jointly eradicate the heretical sect. Our Sakura Sea country will fight to the death with the heretical sect. In the video, an elderly man from Sakura Sea country with white at his temples spoke angrily and then bowed deeply to the viewers in front of the television, with his hands pressed against his thighs. It was Lin Zikan's first time hearing the term heretical sect. He immediately picked up Zhang Wangzhen's phone and searched online. He then found out that the so-called heretical sect was an anti-human organization founded by traitors. These traitorous members of the heretical sect, for the sake of benefits, had betrayed humanity and become lackeys of the exotic beasts, choosing to direct their aggression against their own kind, often orchestrating attacks within human territories. Many small countries with weaker national strength often suffered greatly. I'm just glad I was born in a strong nation with a relatively stable environment that allows me to comfortably grow and develop. Lin Zikan felt a sense of relief. He had no other desires except for hoping that the land where he lived would allow him to safely grow until he reached 18. By then, with his advantage, he would have enough power to protect himself and his family from those giant mutant rats seen in the news reports. Boom! 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 Suddenly, bursts of sonic booms were heard from outside the window. They made the glass tremble and caused ringing in the ears. Hearing the noise, Lin Zikan quickly collected his thoughts and ran to the window to check the situation. Upon pulling back the curtain, he saw dozens of mechanically modified humans soaring across the night sky at high speed, leaving behind trails in the air. At this time of night, why would there suddenly be so many official mechanically modified humans flying? Has something happened? Lin Yanzheng, who had unknowingly approached the window as well, watched the gradually disappearing official mechanically modified humans in the night sky with a look of perplexity. Zhang Wangzhen also came over, looking at the night sky with a worried expression. I hope nothing bad has happened. Lin Zikan stood in front of Zhang Wangzhen, silently watching the remaining flight trails in the night sky, sharing the same concern as Zhang Wangzhen. P.S. Begging for monthly and recommendation tickets. 10 Dazzling Light. Xiao Chen, Xiao Chen, Xiao Chen. Did you just see those mechanically modified humans in the sky? Flying over in large groups, it was so spectacular. Lin Zikan was still gazing at the night sky from the window when suddenly, Shen Qinghan's voice could be heard from outside. The girl's voice sounded very excited, just like the kids from the village in a previous life seeing an airplane for the first time. Xiao Chen, Han Han is here to see you, come and open the door, Zhang Wangzhen, looking down at Lin Zikan in front of her, urged. Lin Zikan quickly stepped away from the window to open the door for Shen Qinghan, who was outside. As the door opened, what came into view was Shen Qinghan, who had just taken a bath, wearing a set of light pink pajamas, her hair wet, looking very sprightly. Lin Zikan looked at her and said, "It's not like you haven't seen it on TV before. Is it really worth getting so excited about?" Shen Qinghan bounced into the room with a beaming smile. It's different, you know. Seeing it on TV doesn't compare to witnessing it in person. Lin Zikin didn't speak, silently closing the door behind him. After sitting down in the room, he noticed Shen Qinghan's dripping hair, so he found a hairdryer and said, "Your hair is too wet. Come over here, and I'll help you dry it." Shen Qinghan obediently sat down, letting Lin Zikin help her blow dry her hair. While blow drying, her long, straight, slender legs kept swinging, quite a distraction. Zhang Wangzhen, sitting beside them, grew increasingly fond of her, a maternal smile spreading across her face. Su Meng's girl is so pretty. There must be quite a few boys in school who have a crush on her. Why don't we have a daughter too? Lin Yanzheng teased with a chuckle. Zhang Wangzhen gave him a look and said, "With Han Han already here, why bother having another one? Just treat her like our own daughter, right?" Meanwhile, after her hair finally dried, Shen Qinghan turned to Lin Zikin, propping her cheek with one hand and tilting her head, peering at him with her gleaming, fun-like Carlo Rossi eyes. "Xiao Chen, there are a few math homework questions I don't quite understand. Could you teach me later, please?" "Sure," said Lin Zikin without hesitation. For the next while, the two were busy doing math homework in the room. One teaching, the other learning. Shen Qinghan was quite bright, most problems were understood with just a little explanation, and soon she had worked through all the tough questions. Having finished the homework, Shen Qinghan casually lay down on Lin Zikin's bed, fiddling with her fingers while chatting idly with him. Lin Zikin was doing sit ups on the side and could only respond half-heartedly. After a while, it was about time to sleep. Shen Qinghan yawned. "Xiao Chen, I'm so sleepy, I don't feel like getting out of bed to go home to sleep. I'll just stay and sleep here tonight." "That's fine. Then go and tell my mom. I don't feel like getting out of bed to make the call." "Okay." Lin Zikin then got up, left the bed, and asked Zhang Wangzhen to call Su Meng, informing her that Shen Qinghan was going to sleep over. Su Meng agreed, and she brought over Shen Qinghan's school uniform, shoes, socks, and toiletries for the next day. Lin Zikin brought all these items up to the room, making it easy for Shen Qinghan to get dressed in the morning. This girl really falls asleep fast. Looking at Shen Qinghan, who was lying sprawled out on the bed in deep sleep, her face sweet and peaceful, Lin Zikin smiled, took a tissue, and gently wiped away the drool at the corner of her mouth. After that, he turned off the lights and went to bed. Each had their own pillow, each had their own blanket, to prevent someone from stealing the blanket in the middle of the night and leaving someone else cold. The next day, Lin Zikin woke up early. It was still dark outside. A glance at the alarm clock on the bedside table showed it was only 5 o'clock. Waking up at 5 o'clock every morning was precisely his biological clock. He had gotten used to exercising early in the morning. Waking up and not doing several hundred push-ups to warm up would make him feel lethargic the whole day. "You are doing push-ups, Qi blood +1, arm muscle strength +1, chest muscle strength +1. Push-up proficiency +1. You are doing squats, Qi blood +1, leg muscle strength +1, squat proficiency +1. You are doing sit-ups, Qi blood +1, abdominal muscle strength +1, sit-up proficiency +1. After a round of intense exercise, Lin Zikin went downstairs to wash up. While there, he stood in front of the bathroom mirror and took off his shirt to check out his workout results over the past few years. His muscles weren't exaggeratedly large, but they looked sharp and defined, bursting with explosive strength. Especially his abs, they were as perfectly chiseled as if by a knife, and it felt particularly satisfying to touch them. "Tisk tisk, Xiao Chen, so you've inherited your dad's vanity after all, striking various poses in front of the mirror so early in the morning." Zhang Wangzhen, who was up to make breakfast, couldn't help but laugh when she passed by the bathroom and saw Lin Zikan posing like a bodybuilder in the mirror. Lin Zikan, who was indulging in self-admiration, was suddenly embarrassed by Zhang Wangzhen's comment and wished he could burrow a hole and hide in it right there and then. "Oh, you're blushing, come here and let mommy feel your abs. I'm going to call Han Han down for breakfast." After dropping that remark, Lin Zikan fled the bathroom as if on wings. It was too socially mortifying. He didn't even want to see Zhang Wangzhen again that day. It was just too much to face. When Lin Zikan returned to his room upstairs, Shen Qinghan was still not fully awake. She lay sprawled out on the bed, with no sign of the blanket anywhere on her. Glancing down, he saw the blanket had somehow been kicked off the bed. "You're this old already and still kicking off your blanket while you sleep?" Lin Zikan shook his head and went to pick up the blanket. Casually tossing the blanket back on the bed, his gaze fell on Shen Qinghan's lower body. The area around the crotch was bulging, and she was still wearing a diaper just like when she was a little girl. An 8-year-old girl still wearing diapers was definitely indicative of a health issue. But the strange thing was, they could never diagnose the cause. Thankfully, up until now, Shen Qinghan's only issue was her tendency to wet the bed or her pants. Beyond that, she had no other problems. A small mercy amidst misfortune. Lin Zikan thought no more of it, reached out to pinch Shen Qinghan's cheek, and softly called, "Han Han, it's already past 6 o'clock, time to get up, brush your teeth, wash your face, and have breakfast." Shen Qinghan groggily opened her eyes and instinctively sat up to stretch. Afterward, she looked at Lin Zikan with sleep in her eyes and spoke in a soft, woolly voice, "Xiao Chen, I just dreamed about Bai Shui. I wonder where she is now and what she's doing. Bai Shui is having breakfast at her home, you better get up and change clothes quickly or the breakfast downstairs will get cold." "Got it," replied Shen Qinghan, and started to change out of her pajamas into her school uniform right in front of Lin Zikan. The moment she took off her pajamas, Lin Zikan suddenly felt it was a bit glaring. Shen Qinghan's chest was glowing. To be more precise, it was the beast tooth hanging in front of her chest that was glowing. It was the beast tooth that the white-haired girl had given her. "P.S. I'm setting out my bowl, asking for monthly and recommendation tickets.